Eko Bongwalanga
Bongo Zanango Lwemba ye Bilango tona nangore Sandoko zombi Nazangi mayele yako Sepelisa yote Nalamukia batungu itana na koti zambara Nabukisa nkilo bafle Na maboko manga moko Nabaki pungu misato Pona yebi Olinga kaba nyama Lwemba ye
Sylvain Didi
Zwa pecha kuyo na lakisie maloba ya bolingo Alobelaka yo na absence nanga ata Kombole
Très fort, les boss
Soki ex-lava Moni epekisaka te Pena mitie maumbwa champi Bolava Kwatareka Eno ya paembeza Karese
Yalo Boko Mbenga
Otinelinga malobelo bina ndako ya kotalanga Mbatanelaka mokonzi topi ya rouge ya lokumu Natandeli yo simisi pe pantalo nanga
Dr. David Howard, thank you for your time to Africa Media Australia. You've just had a wonderful presentation there on Boko Haram. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What is Boko Haram?
It's an Islamic sect in northern Nigeria that roughly, loosely translated means Western education is sin. But it's an Islamic fundamentalist group that wants to overthrow Western democracy in Nigeria and reinstate the Islamic Caliphate. They want to have a Muslim state under Sharia law ruled by an imam.
How serious are they?
Oh, they're quite serious. I don't think they'll be successful, but within their own terms, they have been quite successful. They have taken over large areas and terrorized large areas so that they really have destabilized the Nigerian state.
Now, the killings and abductions have started a while back. It's only recently that it has gone quite viral, so to speak, in the social media terminology. Why do you think that is happening now rather than previously?
Well, this time it involved young girls, right? And it captured the attention of the Western media. And suddenly it was a big issue. It got blown up. People like Michelle Obama commented on it. And when things like that happen, it just takes off. But you know, Boko Haram has been around since the early part of the 20th century, 21st century, and it's grown from about 2009 to today into a fairly large and active movement.
And is it just religion, or is there more to it? Is it ethnic? Is it political? Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, it's largely based among the Hausa and Kanuri peoples of northern Nigeria. And it draws its membership from the poor, the landless peasants, the uneducated, who have very little to show for their stake in Nigerian society. These are the people that have been overlooked, abused, marginalized in a country that is potentially very wealthy, and yet where 80% of the people live on less than $2 a day. It's gross inequalities and oppression by officialdom, corrupt police, corrupt military, and people have suddenly said, enough's enough. I don't feel like I have any loyalty to this system.
Let's talk about the Western intervention into Nigeria on combating Boko Haram. Do you think it's going to be successful?
Well, they can, in the short term, be militarily successful. Yes, they can do things like take drone strikes and kill the leadership and kill various people. But as Al-Qaeda has shown, the death of Osama bin Laden hasn't been the end of Al-Qaeda. It'll simply spring up under new leaders until the basic causes that have led people to embrace such fundamentalism are addressed. Then, you know, a new leader will emerge.
And is there any risks that the actual involvement of the West can potentially, in the long term, exacerbate the situation?
Oh, yes. What will happen is the supporters of Boko Haram will say, see, we told you. This government is allied to the West. It doesn't have real feelings for the true values of Nigerian people. Our values and their values are totally opposed, and see who they are supporting.
And how much of an involvement do you think the politicians in Nigeria have got to do with Boko Haram?
Well, there's plenty of evidence that both military officers and politicians have used Boko Haram as stalking horses for their own political agendas. They've been determined to undermine the government of President Goodluck Jonathan and change the results in the February 2016 election. So in that sense, there are elements within Nigerian body politics that sees an advantage in supporting, at least tacitly, Boko Haram.
Let's talk about Australia involvement into this whole crisis. There's been some activity from the government, and apparently the foreign minister has even indicated that they may be sending special forces. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's shooting from the lip. Not even the Americans are willing to send in ground forces into Nigeria. They say, no, it's the job of the Nigerian military to do that. I would have thought that SAS troops in Nigeria would have a shorter survival rate than they had in Afghanistan. You don't know who to trust, and it's a very sort of politically fraught situation. The only people that are sending in any troops are the French, and they're doing it only in the neighboring states where they have some political clout, Cameroon and Chad.
So what advice, if any, you would give to the Australian government in terms of trying to assist in some way into this crisis?
Oh, I think you give moral support to the government, but you also give encouragement to the need for political change, the need for reform in Nigeria, the need for greater transparency and honesty. You try to help Nigerians make the right decisions for themselves.
And this crisis, as serious as it can be, it sort of overshadows the other side of Nigeria, which is a booming economy. Nigeria has recently overtaken South Africa as the biggest African economy.
Well, I think it has to be pointed out, Nigeria is in many ways a special case, and it has a long history of this type of instability, not just in the Muslim areas, but in, say, the Niger Delta and elsewhere in Nigeria, in the Christian areas as well. But Australia does have links, or started to build up links in terms of trade and investment with Nigeria. There is an Australian-Nigerian forum that's supposed to be dealing with these issues to encourage Australian, involvement in the Nigerian economy. There are moves that have been made, and it's those type of moves that need to be encouraged. I don't think, for example, sending a few troops is going to solve anything. I think that the real solutions lie in much deeper issues about how you develop a civil society in Nigeria that people feel they have a stake in.
All right, Dr. David Howard, we thank you very much for your time to Africa Media.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.